All right, so we're gonna go live on YouTube. Here we go, going live. We're live on YouTube in like 2 seconds. Here we go. Oh, and apparently I got a little like button for YouTube. That's pretty cool. I love it. Love, love, love it. Okay, cool. Welcome everybody. Today in this video, we're going to be covering part 4 of 4 on a 4-part series on trauma in the vagus nerve. And the title's just like it sounds. We're going to explore the reasons why we found that trauma resides primarily in your vagus nerve more than anything. And actually, what is trauma exactly? We're going to recap all 4 days for this week. You're in for a real treat. We're really doing some cutting edge stuff here as it relates to trauma and what really we're dealing with. But before we do that, the favorite, best part of today's video is going to be called the simultaneous squeeze. We do this at the very beginning of the video, and it's going to be like a dopamine rush. It's going to make you feel so good. It's going to be the best feeling ever. So here we go. Ready? In 3, 2, 1, take a deep breath in. Take a little sip of air at the top. Hold it and squeeze it. And slowly exhale. And it's going to give you a really good, nice, deep, relaxing feeling, which is very nice. Also, I got a haircut. I don't know how my hair looks today. What do you guys think? How's my hair look? I'm watching a replay on my video, so I can't, yeah. Hey, my hair looks pretty good. I did get a haircut, but I'm still going to wear my hat because I just like wearing a hat, okay? So good. I hope you liked and I hope you enjoyed the simultaneous squeeze. Just so you guys know as well, I want to put a little bit of a feeler out here. We have a new, like a little, you know, I know a lot of people I know people like to purchase little things and like to have little, you know, trinkets and stuff like that. There's this thing that I've always kind of wanted to offer to the audience, which is a breathing device that allows you to wear it like a necklace. I have a sample of it here. This is a little called the Nemuri whistle. It makes no sound. It wraps around a necklace and you wear it like this. But this is just a 3D printed version of it. You're going to be able to get it in metal, in gold, in brass, in copper and silver, and have it polished. So it'll be like a little device you wear on your neck. And then when, you know, as a reminder to breathe, what you do is you take a deep breath in, you go through your nose, and then you exhale. And it regulates your breathing very slowly so that you're able to get that effect. What do you guys think? Is this something that would be interesting to you? Like a little kind of like small necklace-based device that you blow into. It doesn't, you can hear it, it's not making a sound or anything like that. So it's a couple seconds in through your nose. And then an out exhale. And I've been trying it out. I've been sampling it. This is a pre-production sample that we had 3D printed. With 3D printing, you can do amazing stuff, and you can keep the costs really affordable. So anyway, if you had something like this to wear, like a little necklace that was in gold or silver for something around, you know, something like, I'm trying to keep the prices less than like $60. So you have some like a nice like trinket that you can wear, like a cool necklace, like a vagus nerve kind of necklace. Is that interesting to you guys? I'm experimenting with a couple different designs. You'll get to see some of them ahead of time. I hired an engineer to 3D design these and help me print them. And then we're going to have them on a website that you can go and purchase them and have them shipped right to you. And they're made to order. So they're literally custom 3D printed for each person. Some of the ones that are made out of gold are actually 3D printed in wax. And then they're literally molded by pouring hot gold into the wax cast. And then they're polished by hand. And they look so cool. So you'll get to see some of the designs here, I think, in the next week or so. So anyway, if you like that, the name of it is called the Nemuri whistle. And Nemuri refers to, it's a Japanese word for for the ability to relax. That's a Japanese term. And whistle is not that it makes sound. It's just a Namuri trinket. So anyway, something I've always kind of wanted to do, just to have that as an available thing, like a souvenir. Like, hey, thanks for visiting the Vagus Nerve group. I hope you liked it. Here's a little gift for you, and hopefully, you do well in life. That's all it is. And it's actually really nice to breathe through. So it's kind of replicates that breathing process that we do at the beginning of the video. So hope you like it, and you'll see me wearing it in my videos too. So I'll be showing it off in all my videos, I'm sure. So anyway, so in today's video, let's talk about trauma. So if you have missed a couple of the videos beforehand, remember this is part 4 of 4 parts. So if you're just joining me now, here, let me recap for you just briefly on the main points, the main contention that we're creating here around this whole idea of, do you need to release trauma or not? Like, what is trauma release exactly? Because I've been having that question for people a lot, and I've never gotten a clear answer. It's, oh, well, you're not releasing the trauma, you're processing the trauma. And I'm like, well, what's the processing part? Is it working with memory? Is it working with belief systems? And when you're working with belief systems, are belief systems trauma, or belief systems? And you're working with belief systems, not trauma. Do you have to work with trauma directly to get benefits and to be free of the negative lasting effects of a traumatic event? Do you have to directly address the trauma itself, or is trying to directly address trauma the thing that keeps you more traumatized? Because again, I can't imagine in my mind how replaying in your brain an extremely traumatic event would help you. And I know enough about human memory. I'm actually a memory expert, trained by the American Memory Institute. So I have a pretty photographic memory. I know what recalling events is like, and I know that events recalled can become hyper real, and the more you remember them, the more you can remember them. So I don't see how trauma release and replaying a memory in your mind again and again and again is actually an effective way to free yourself from memory. So what I've found in my own work now, after 6 years of working with clients who have been extremely traumatized, for those of you watching who want to later on to maybe see some of the people that I've actually worked with and hear their own interviews, just know that many of those people and that testimonials page for the Vagus Nerve Stimulation Repair Program phase 1, 2, and 3 is that plenty of them have had a deeply traumatic event in their past. I think everybody walking around today has, to some degree, a traumatic event. It happens to everyone, And if you're the kind of person who's like, nobody's trauma is worse than mine, then I think that there's a problem in that, because that's the kind of mindset that attracts nothing's good enough for you. And I don't think you can ever be free of a traumatic event or free of any debilitating situation if your mind is always looking for a reason for why the person that you're watching isn't as bad as you, therefore nothing can help, right? Even if I think you should adopt the belief system that if you were the very first person to ever truly have the most debilitating neurological cognitive damage or issues, is that you should be on your top game to find a solution no matter what. And that means experimenting with as many things as possible. There's never a point in life where if you develop a chronic illness or you've been traumatized and you're dealing with the persistent PTSD of a deeply traumatic event, there's never a situation where you can throw up your hands and say, you know what? I guess there's just no hope for me. Because as soon as you give up, the game is lost. You can always come back from that. And it's literally as simple as shifting your mindset away from that my trauma was so bad that I can't get healed, to shifting to, yeah, my trauma was really bad and it was really deeply impactful on my body, but there's always a way. That's the thing. You have to accept that, is that the belief system that's going to help you the most. Because really, at its core, trauma, there are events that happen in life. Some events are bad. Some events are good. For instance, getting married to the love of your life is a good experience, but it's a thing that happened. It's not traumatic. Losing your wife in a car accident, for instance, and maybe she was pregnant, and losing two members of your family suddenly is a traumatic event. That is a traumatic event. Now, what you do from a belief system perspective post-traumatic event is up to you. And what we've been talking about a lot is this concept of PTBS, which is post-traumatic belief systems. Okay? PTBS is a post-traumatic belief system. Now, just as there can be traumatic fallout from something that was really traumatic, or just as there can be an event that was either good or traumatic, there can also be belief systems that are traumatizing or empowering. And so the place where the work really should happen, if you want to be free of I'm going to rhyme here. If you want to be free of PTSD, you have to work in your belief systems. Your belief systems are the area of play. It's the sandpit of play where you strictly have the control over what you can do in your life. And it's really the belief systems that roll the dice and make the pendulum swing, and that day by day combined consistently creates the nature of your life. So rather than, it's like this, it's like addressing a systemic, sometimes addressing systemic cultural issues can't be done by addressing the exact systemic issues that you've identified. The ways to do it is to build a different corollary cultural system that can supplant the original, structural issues that you're trying to address. By getting deep into the issues too much, you can actually not solve an issue by trying to fix it directly. Sometimes to solve a challenge of trauma, you have to say, okay, the trauma happened. There was a belief system that was created. And to resolve that, there's no amount of, again, in your mind, if you for instance, shout out to Jody as well for really getting it. She's been really good and showing up and watching the replays the day after on these videos. So shout out to my replay people. Love you guys. Jody wrote a belief system that could have been developed. She wrote it out when I was saying it. Was something along the lines of like, I'm not deserving of being alive. Some people can develop that belief system. Or I deserved it. Or I'm lesser because of it. Or I'm damaged goods. Those are belief systems. Now, if you're a therapist, if you're a paid therapist, and you would intentionally not like your clients to ever get better so that they continue to pay you, you would have them look at the belief system of, I'm damaged goods because I was sexually assaulted as a child. Therefore, nobody can love me, because why would they want someone who was damaged goods? And if you don't believe that that's a belief system, I implore you to be open to the fact that I have been doing this for 6 years. We have psychiatrists who work inside of my program, and they see that my clients who use vagus nerve stimulation alongside traditional therapy get better within days versus years. And it's strictly because they're stimulating their vagus nerve while supplanting former beliefs. When you stimulate your vagus nerve, your brain becomes neuroplastic. You can modify and change beliefs at will when you stimulate your vagus nerve for the better. Your brain is oriented towards the good. Your vagus nerve has a direction towards really good stuff. So when you stimulate it, your life improves. It's just a fact. The vagus nerve stimulation is the surefire pathway. It's the golden road to a better life. And so I do know what I'm talking about. Absolutely know what I'm talking about. So if there were let's say, I'm not going to name any names, but I've worked with a number of clients who were sexually assaulted in their childhood. And some of the beliefs that you typically see develop from that are that I'm damaged goods, that nobody could love me because of what's happened to me. Now, if you believe that, again, you develop a belief system. It's the belief system that has developed after the PTSD. And your belief systems are more likely to develop given the people that you interact with the most. So it's your circle of friends, of family, of peers who influence what beliefs you even think that you can develop. That's why having good influence or gooder influences in a belief system process, that's why I don't always recommend for a lot of people that they just stimulate their vagus nerve. Because again, while your vagus nerve orients you towards a good direction, if you are surrounded and you have no good verbal influences of people, if you're surrounded by people who they themselves carry some pretty debilitating beliefs about themselves and yourself, then you may further create neuroplasticity around bad beliefs. So vagus nerve stimulation doesn't just guarantee that if you have a very unsupportive surrounding environment that you're going to somehow break through, unless you have it. What it can take is it can take that one good solid coach in your life, in your corner, encouraging you to work on creating strong beliefs, good beliefs, powerful beliefs, empowering beliefs about you, about your capabilities, about what you're capable of in your entire life, and supporting you in that. I think people are really being let down by the whole vagus nerve industry as a whole. I think that people are treating VNS as some kind of a magical fix-me pill, and they're not willing to look at, again, some of those deeper elements that influence your vagus nerve health. So for instance, it's a fact, it is a scientific fact at this point in time that your mental memories and beliefs and values and inner dialogue can positively or negatively influence your vagus nerve. You can shut down your vagus nerve completely. You can turn off your vagus nerve by speaking to yourself negatively. So when I see someone who's like, no, I have really negative beliefs, I'm very judgmental, and I don't want any help with that. I just want to stimulate my vagus nerve. I caution them because, well, if you're in a negative environment and you just add neuroplasticity to your brain, it doesn't just mean you're going to have neuroplasticity in a good direction. You may actually have neuroplasticity in a bad direction. You may encourage and strengthen some pretty nasty beliefs. So again, that is why you typically see people in the initial stages of you using VNS, the first couple days, the first couple weeks, go, wow, I feel really good. It's because your brain is blooming. But one thing I learned, I worked on when I was in college, I volunteered some of my time in the film department because some of the most influential sources of information, of inspirational content in my life has always been the documentary film. So I've watched documentaries on, rescuing whales, nature conservatory, inspirational figures in human history, Rosa Parks, Mother Teresa. There have been lots of documentaries that I've watched that have gone like, wow, there are people doing incredible things against some incredible odds. So when I was at UC Berkeley, I volunteered some time to work alongside while I was doing an engineering degree to work with some students who, again, needed help with electricity, lighting, cameras, some of the technical stuff. Because I'm very technically astute. I know how to run a camera. I know how to turn on lights. And they are good at storytelling. And so I always knew I could learn something about the craft of documentary filmmaking at UC Berkeley. One thing that we learned, which is very interesting, was that if you take a camera, into a person's like a documentary digital camera into a person's home, that the first couple of days, the first couple of weeks of filming that person, you're only going to see the best impression of them. So for 2 weeks, a documentary film crew was sent to this woman's home. And for 2 full weeks, she was like, yeah, I've got the most perfect life. Everything is great. She was like happy for the cameras. And the film was about, I believe, mother-son, interactions. And it wasn't like, there were suspicions of a non-positive interaction between the two of them. But for the first 2 weeks of that camera being there, not a single indication of any disagreements or any problems. But after 2 weeks plus, on week 3, the facade started to crack. And you started to see, honestly, it was like as if the film camera crew, the director, the videographer, and the sound guy, there were only 3 people in the home, with a full-on shoulder-mounted camera rig, would observe the mother berating, verbally abusing her young child on camera. Even though for the first 2 weeks she looked like, oh, I'm super happy, I'm super good. Everything was like perfect on camera. So this is why typically when you see testimonials from electrical VNS devices, it's honestly because the camera's been rolling for 2 weeks. People want to present this really hunky-dory, oh yeah, my problem wasn't that bad, nothing was that bad in the first place if VNS can help me. But I would just implore you to ask, where's the 3-month testimonial? Where's the 6-month testimonial from any of these electrical devices that claim to make these changes? And I think you're typically not going to find that these electrical devices are providing that revolutionary kind of effect that you really do need. And that's unfortunate. And this is why I believe that this element of trauma and belief systems must be addressed if you're going to incorporate vagus nerve stimulation. Because all vagus nerve stimulation does is it activates your vagus nerve and makes, oh, thank you, Kimberly. Thank you. Yeah, feeling good, looking good, getting some sun. It's good summertime. I did burn my lip though, so that's the one downside. But other than that, everything's good. Thank you, Kim. But basically, this is why vagus nerve stimulation as a single intervention in someone's life, I don't believe should be utilized by itself. I think that vagus nerve stimulation should, I think by default, the way that I'm doing it is the right way. Because I've had clients who never showed up to a coaching call, who never did any of the work. And, we can see a good first month, 2 months of ultrasound stimulation, but their negative belief systems start to come back. And so what is coaching exactly? Coaching is that element of, hey, let's look at the whole in a friendly way. None of this is to be uncomfortable for people. It's not to make it nobody who goes through my coaching program is like, wow, that was really hard work. It's not difficult work if you're doing VNS, but you guys see that element of that belief system that influences your vagus nerve must be accounted for. Otherwise, you're just creating neuroplasticity in the brain to more thoroughly reinforce negative belief systems that can have developed from a traumatic event. So I want you to be very careful in evaluating where you're going to put your money. What kind of coaching are you going to invest in? And are you, again, there's options all over the place. My recommendation for getting therapy would be, first and foremost, get a therapist who's going to help you build strong beliefs and remove old negative beliefs. You have to do both. You have to remove negative belief systems. You have to affirm in your mind that it's possible to control your beliefs completely. That is a crucial key starting affirmation that you must have. If you don't believe that your belief systems are modifiable you're in really bad shape. It's just a fact. It's very difficult to make those big changes if you believe that, oh, another person implanted these ideas in my head, therefore I have no control over them. That's not a good place to be. You don't want to be there at all. So, for one, if you're going to evaluate a therapist, that therapist must be there to support the supplantation of negative, bad, false beliefs, to remove those, to help you with the removal process, to excise those from your body. You're not clearing out trauma. Trust me, you guys. There is no trauma to clear. There are only belief systems that are there that need to be cleansed, so to speak. There are belief systems that are not serving you. Awesome, Kimberly. Hey, yes on the whistle. That's cool. I think she's watching. She must be watching the replay as I'm live. She's watching the delayed version of this video. So love you, Kimberly. Love you so much. So good. Cool. Well, you'll hear more about the whistle in by next week. So you must find a therapist who can remove negative beliefs and supplant good beliefs. Hypnotists are really good at this, okay? If you can find a hypnosis professional who isn't going to do past life regression and isn't going to do EMDR to take you back to that bad belief or that bad experience, you don't need to travel back and remember a traumatic experience, nor do you need to remember a past life or a past traumatic event. Is it possible to envision that you were Queen and you were Mary Anne Boleyn and your head got cut off by Henry VIII? That was you in your past life? Yeah, of course. And many people have done that. Even Scientology, I believe, has a belief system in past lives. And that past lives create trauma, and they create engrams and thetans that latch onto your body, and you have to pull them out. Again, take another allegedly money-making operation, Scientology, completely frames for you that you have thetans implanted in your body, and the only way to free yourself them is to remove the thetans. What the hell is that? How do you remove a thetan? You don't. There's no such thing. And I'm just going to say I'm just going to put it out there that there are no such things as thetans or demons that are latching onto your body like traumas. But there are belief systems. And you must affirm your ability to remove and supplant and implant good, better, more empowering beliefs. You have to be able to transmutate a negative belief into a good belief. And again, going backwards a little bit on this conversation, one thing that I missed is there's no amount of engaging mentally, psychologically, linguistically. You cannot engage with that negative belief that because I was sexually assaulted as a child, that if you developed a belief system of I'm not good enough, I'm damaged goods, nobody will love me, and I don't love myself, how is asking yourself, well, is that true? Or how could it be wrong? Or what is it about that that's wrong? Or you see that? You're playing with muck. You can't play with the muck. You just have to kind of quickly grab it and play with it and then pull it out of your body. And you literally imagine, this is why, again, I think that some of the best people in this initial stage of helping you through this are going to be trained in hypnosis, because hypnosis is especially good at that visualization and the removal of the belief systems as things, as entities, as packets of energy. And those need to be pulled out of your body. And when you do it, you should feel a nauseous feeling. If you do not feel a nauseous feeling from the removal of a negative belief system, of a disempowering belief system, you're not doing it right. And you need to either ask your therapist or your hypnotist for, give me more, give it to me better, get me more amped up, get me more, I'm not believing this enough. And a hypnotist will know what you mean immediately. Guys, I mean, I'm giving you some of like the secrets of the secrets, okay? This is the stuff that the stars do, okay? Hypnotism is it's the real deal. But again, just to be fair, I've had cases where I've had clients who they had hired a hypnotist years before, and the hypnotist tried to convince them to send them $100,000. So again, you also need to be careful and vet your hypnotist. But, it's not like the request was granted just because a hypnotist says, well, transfer $100,000 into my bank account doesn't mean that the guy did it. So he said, no, that's dumb. You still have full control over your actions, your behaviors, and your beliefs. You have control. You have free will to decide or determine what you're going to do. So first thing, you need to remove it. Then you need to get really in a state of celebration that those bad beliefs are gone, are removed, are excised from your life. And that's it. That is the thing. That is what needs to be done. So yeah, the best thing to do would be get yourself someone who has experience with hypnotism from a therapeutic perspective, medical hypnotism, otherwise, those kinds of things. But then I do believe that you also need to incorporate a corollary supportive vagus nerve stimulation modality. Okay? Now you could totally do this by yourself. The two things you could do: hire a hypnotist that's really good. You're going to spend about $1,000 overall, if not more. If you want to become certified at self-hypnosis, that's going to cost you about $5,000. $5,000 to become certified for yourself. You could even become a paid therapist in some cases. And I'm thinking about maybe next week running a series on, one group that's here in the group, one group of people that is present in the Facebook group in a lot of ways are other healers, other practitioners. And I would love to speak to them to tell them, give them some insights into what I've learned as a coach from the perspective of getting clients and how to help clients and doing that client work, and give you guys an insight into my process and my thinking around how do you work with people. So I think better than me trying to explain the whole process of working with a client today is just to say that maybe next week on Monday, tune in for a free, obviously a completely free series, 5 days worth of how to be a practitioner and the mindset required and the belief systems required to go and help another person in their specific case. So if you like what we're talking about today and you want to see what does that really look like from like a real hands-on actionable perspective, join us on Monday for the 5-part series on, the mindset of a vagus nerve coach, how to be a better practitioner for your clients, how to have raving fan clients that get incredible results using the insights of the vagus nerve from an experienced coach with too many clients. That's probably what I'll call it, something like that. So you can get yourself a certification for about $5,000 to become a hypnotist yourself, or you can hire a hypnotist for about $1,000 to $2,000. So you can kind of see, like, is it a one-time thing? Maybe I want to learn it. You wouldn't be bad off if you got certified in hypnosis. I literally do believe it's very powerful. I have a large degree of experience with hypnosis. It's one of the main things that we utilize in things like the Hour of Power, or especially in ultra priming, which is on the virtual reality headset that we offer to clients. So we do hypnosis combined with visual stimulation inside of an immersive VR environment. And this whole idea, if you think that trauma release has to be something that's hard, it doesn't have to be. It can be the easiest thing. It's done in 50 minutes. 50 minutes, 50. And that stuff is gone. And you can do it on a continuous daily process for a few weeks, and you're going to be like, oh my God, but while stimulating your vagus nerve at the same time. It's only available to people who are in our program. So hire a hypnotist or get certified as a hypnotist. You're going to be well on the road to resolving these issues with belief systems. There's no amount of looking at trauma that's going to resolve the trauma. Trauma Directly looking at the demon does not excise the demon. Looking at the damage that the demon did that you allowed to happen or had happened because of your bad influences. Again, bad influences could be your parents were traumatized themselves. Your parents developed bad belief systems, disempowering belief systems, and they transferred those to you through their language and their patterns. A parent doesn't have to tell their child that they're damaged goods because they were raped as a child. The parent can implant that thought pattern by the way that the parent interacts with the environment. So for instance, if a daughter was raped and the parent and the mother was also raped as a child, the mother could have developed the belief system that she's damaged goods, that she's not worthy of love, that she might as well not be alive. All right, again, we're stacking bad beliefs. The mother doesn't even have to ever tell the daughter that specific belief system. The mother could do something like this. Oh, that woman downtown, I heard she's kind of a slut. She's damaged goods, because she has sex with other men. And nobody's ever going to love a girl like that. So again, you can see how a parent can laterally transfer really debilitating beliefs to their kid. Has that ever happened to you? Raise your hand if you've ever had I've seen this happen a lot. I've probably been guilty of this too, where you say something that you think is innocuous, but it's so close to what a person nearby just experienced, and you almost immediately go, oh shit, like I shouldn't have said that. Like I have, for instance, a tangible example. I went camping this weekend. My partner brought a friend. The friend had expressed that she has had a hard time finding a partner for herself. She looked at me and my happy-go-lucky relationship and thought, what did you guys do right to find each other? And I told her, some things. And then I think, gosh, it must have been 2-3 hours later, like I said something along the lines of, it would be really hard to be out there and to be single. And it was completely about something else. It was like about Tinder or something like this. But you could immediately see that it struck a nerve with her really bad. And, again, that validated probably an underlying belief in her mind about, yeah, you're right. Like there might be something wrong with me because I haven't found the right one yet. And, again, everybody's getting older, right? I think age plays a role in this kind of thing too. But I'm just giving you one type of example of belief systems that can develop from trauma. And I don't, again, I can't, like I said, on day 2 is don't ever assume someone's traumatic history. Don't ever try to read someone's mind. Just because she reacted in that way, I can't start to begin to hazard a guess as to, well, gosh, she must have been traumatized as a kid. Maybe she was blah, 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 blah as a child. That would be that's so disrespectful to another human being to look at someone, to assume what they've gone through. It's just inhuman to do that. It really is. So, but again, you can be raised by parents who had a trauma of their own, that they developed belief systems that were negative. Those parents never have to tell you specifically that they're about their belief systems, but they can infer through this holographic, fractal, simulatory kind of way by engaging in talking about other non-related people, what their belief systems are. You can, if you listen to someone for long enough, you can begin to piece together some of their belief systems about life. You can gauge it. And children are really good at doing that. Who here knows that their parents maybe had some bad beliefs that they transferred into you, right? I certainly did. I can name probably a couple of them. Some things about money, some things about success, some things about the government, some things about luck, about finding a partner, There are definitely beliefs that my parental figures had that I had to almost remove and relearn. We've all have that. So the real game here, the real battle, the real lesson is to not engage with the trauma itself, but to engage with the belief systems that came about because of an event that happened that could be considered traumatic, that was a memory, and you don't even have to again, if you're like, no, Sterling, you have to remember the trauma in order to remove it. And I'm like, well, for instance, there's a couple people in the chat who told me specifically they know that there was a trauma, but they can't remember it at all. So how do they do that? Again, you'd say, well, okay, a hypnosis would help them do it. But even then, what would that matter? Because what's at core here is the identification that there are belief systems that are holding you back, that are disempowering, and that the process is to supplant them with good, empowering beliefs. And even if you know that you have bad beliefs, for instance, you might say like, well, everything happens for a reason. And that might be hard for some of you to accept. That might cause some consternation. And I would, I would again encourage and point you to the headset. Okay. Now I'm not making a sales pitch. I don't make any money off this. This cost $26. You buy them on Amazon. I have nothing to do with the company. But there's a document that I shared yesterday called Engaging the Parasympathetic State. And it's through a 20-minute audio, which is a combination of vagus nerve stimulation through breathing, a gratitude initiation process, and again, hammering home those core beliefs that you are in control of what you believe and that you control your own thoughts. And that's this kind of stuff that you'll find on these headphones. They're very pretty. You wear them, you play them, you go for a walk, you come back home, you feel great. I'm sure many people in the chat watching, as well in replay, can attest to the life-changing potential of what's on these headphones. These are vagus nerve stimulation headphones. You can get them online on Amazon, shipped to you for like $26. Okay? So it's the cheapest vagus nerve stimulator system that I think I've ever found. So again, you don't have to break the bank. You can try it. It's awesome. If you don't like the headphones, you can return them. Again, like I said, I'm not selling them. They come from Amazon. What I've put together is the audio that you listen to that you put on the headphones. And again, they're not Bluetooth at all. So you don't need Bluetooth. You're not connecting your phone to it. The reason these particular headphones are so great is because they have an MP3 storage file system on them, and you just plug them into your phone or plug them into your computer one time. You drag the file on, boop, takes 2 seconds to copy and paste it onto the headset, and then you remove it, and they're on there for life. And I've had these for years. They last very, very long. So again, there are absolutely things you can do. If you want to make the changes I'm providing you here today in this 4-part series, and especially today in hardcore mode, is providing some of those resources that work to help with this. I've done this for years. This is 6 years of working with clients who have absolutely been traumatized in their life, in adulthood and childhood, again and again and again, and they feel stuck. They feel like they can't break through. So that part is that mental hypnotic induction. Part of that is on the Hour of Power. Part of that's what we do in our coaching program. And then as well is to absolutely then, once you have that component in place, is to then and only then incorporate vagus nerve stimulation, right? So for instance, we have a ultrasound that has a face just about this big, and you stimulate right here on your vagus nerve, right there. Boom. Right there. Right? And you stimulate with that face of the ultrasound. And gosh, you're feeling great. You're creating that neuroplasticity while making those belief system changes. That's where the magic happens. Okay? It's the combination of those two things. Again, it's not the only benefit to vagus nerve stimulation, but the specific lack of that component, that belief system component, in almost all commercially available vagus nerve stimulation systems that you can buy for between, there are some VNS devices that cost $3,000. There are some VNS devices that cost $1,200 per year because you have to keep on buying them. You may know what I'm talking about. Some of them are $400, $300, $200. Electrical devices mostly, $60, right? But none of them include audio that engage the parasympathetic state. So you are, unless there's a hypnosis component of belief breaking, you may be setting yourself up for that first 2 weeks where the camera is present and you put on airs that everything's good. But as soon as your brain gets used to the VNS, it's back to same disempowering beliefs. I would never, if I knew somebody had the habitual habits of negatively talking to themselves, would never in my life hand them a VNS device. That would be so irresponsible, because I almost can guarantee you that they're going to have the correlation of neuroplasticity combined with disempowering negative belief systems. You're just going to amplify those. You're going to make the next person who comes along, you're going to make their life way more difficult. You're going to have to do way more work to pull yourself out of that hole. So if you know that you have some of these belief systems that are in there, don't just go and grab an electrical VNS device. I just cannot recommend it. It's dangerous. It's potentially dangerous. And I believe that's why in a lot of cases you see these, testimonials for a VNS device, electrical VNS, after 1 week, after 2 weeks. But where's the 2 month? Where's the 3 month? Where's the 4 month? Where's the 12 months later? Wow. I really feel like I did some core life-changing work here. That's what vagus nerve stimulation is capable of, but I don't see that. And I think this is specifically why. Is because you cannot fake address traumatic belief systems that created themselves from traumatic events. You just cannot fake that. So anyway, my recommendation is, if you are considering joining a program of some sort, join my program. My program, way better than any of these things. And the benefit of it is that you're actually going to get that mindset, belief system breaking, hypnotic support, and you're going to get an ultrasound VNS device included in the package. This should be a package deal for you, and it should save you money. Again, $1,000 just to get the hypnotist. That's not even including the cost of a vagus nerve stimulation device, which you have to get. Plus, you have no idea if the hypnotist that you're hiring is actually going to follow these principles of what I'm talking about. The only really, really, really good one that I think I would be like would be Joe Dispenza or Tony Robbins. And they ain't cheap, just so you know. Joe Dispenza, Tony Robbins, if you wanted to time with them personally, you're talking $75,000. If you've got that kind of money and you're like, I got some. But again, the thing is, he'll help you with mental stuff, but Tony Robbins doesn't do vagus nerve stimulation. And when I was at an event with Tony Robbins back in 2016, I was at a Tony Robbins event, which was actually quite expensive to go to. It was a business expense. It was a business investment, right? So you do that as a business owner. And I wrote on the back of my paper to him, I said, I want to be the next Tony Robbins, but for ultrasound. And it's funny because I wrote that 2016, the concept of being a coach in any way was not a thing. I had no idea what I would be doing all the way in 2023. Well, I really started doing coaching in 2017, 2018. So it wasn't more than a year and a half until I was like, you know what? Just the ultrasound, just vagus nerve stimulation by itself doesn't fix some of these challenges that are present. And so that's really in the spirit of creating something that I truly could get behind that would involve, which is an incredible technology, don't get me wrong, vagus nerve stimulation that's safe and effective and easy to use and fun to use and lasts for a long time. But combined with some of the core principles of how your brain controls your vagus nerve, which is through belief systems and values and systems. And so, yeah, phase 1 coaching program. We've actually had 2 people join just today. 2 people joined just today after 1 call. So again, think about it, consider it. If it's something that you've been on the fence about, now is the best time ever to join. We have room for new people. I can't guarantee, guys, forever. Tony Robbins didn't cost $75,000 in the 1990s, but he does cost $75,000 today. So none of this stuff is going to get any cheaper. I can assure you of that. You're never going to get more access to the team. You're never going to get more support than you can right now. And also, none of this stuff is going to go down in price. You're never going to get the kind of support, service, and attention and care that you can get right now through the vagus nerve stimulation repair phase 1 program. And do that because then you could look at phase 2, phase 3. So there's options for you. But for all practical purposes, we've sent, close to 700 people through phase 1. And I've continued to show up here, and I continue to be blown away by our continually weekly reports of life transformational experiences through phase 1. So again, I hope, again, this is not intended to be like a hardcore sales pitch. I'm just telling you as much as I can about what I truly believe would be best for most people is to not just do VNS and not to just do hypnosis, but if you did the two together, you worked it as a emotional rehabilitation combination, you'd be in really good shape. And I really do believe that, and I see that, and that's why I continue to do what I do. You guys think for a moment that if I thought I could make millions, I could make millions of dollars if I just sold the ultrasound by itself. If I just said, buy now, buy now, buy now, and I ran Facebook ads, could make a lot more money, but I wouldn't get nearly the type of impact in an individual person's life that I'm able to get through the combination of the right processes. And again, if you want to do something right, sometimes you really do have to do it yourself. And I'm not in this game to try and scale up so fast that I lose sight of our core mission, which is, some of I lost my sister to suicide many years ago in 2014. And again, lots of things happen in my life for a reason. And I believe that these things happen in my life for a reason so that I can be a better advocate for other people in their own lives and help people not suffer to the degree that my sister did. And so these programs are in the spirit of truly helping people where they need help. Guess what my sister had? She had a therapist. She had a good, okay therapist, not a great therapist. But guess what her therapist had her focus on? Traumatic experiences. Hey, let's have you relive the traumas. Now you might think, oh, no, my therapist is different. But your therapists don't know what to do when you start using VNS. So find yourself someone who can do both, right? Find yourself someone who can do the two simultaneously. And again, you won't find that they're overdoing VNS and that they're not overdoing the emotional stuff. You can't overdo one or the other. A little bit together is worth 10 times its weight in both separately. And again, $1,000 to get a hypnotist who may or may not have the specialty in doing exactly what I'm saying. And I know this for a fact because we do this on a virtual reality headset all the time with clients. It's deeply transformational. If somebody joins the phase 1 program, they're going to get the potential to get a VR headset sent to them, to get one shipped to them in the mail with this same training on there, which is a hypnosis program, but it's a visual hypnosis immersion program on VR. I 100% know what I'm doing. I've done this with young, old men, women. I had a young client who himself, prior to meeting me, considered himself to be one of the world's most up-and-coming trauma therapists, trauma release coaches in the world, because he had learned a method that he used on his clients with some good results initially. I set him up with a VR headset. This kid had more revolutionary changes in his life from the VR, from the coaching that I did with him, from stimulating his vagus nerve, than he had had in years and years and years of actually going to a coaching school. Can you imagine? This kid actually had 2 certifications. He's 20, so he's a kid to me, right? I'm in my 30s, so your 20-year-old's a kid, right? Fair enough? This kid had a 2-year coaching certification and a 1-year trauma therapy coaching certification with a 6-month course in hypnosis. And all of those separately didn't even make a dent in what VR in immersion can do. Now, I have a film. Remember, I did work in film. So what I can do on a VR headset through the visual medium, through sound, through music, through hypnotic inductions, affirmations, gratitude, incantations, that kind of stuff is next level, you guys. There's no doubt that the kind of stuff that I'm able to do with people is incredible. It's fun. It affords me the ability to go live every single day of the week. You know, guys, for instance, fun thing. You think my eyebrows look good? I got my eyebrows done today. Yeah, I spent $68. I went down to a spa. I worked with this awesome woman named Jenna, and she waxed around my eyebrows. She waxed my ears. She even did wax in my nose, and I got a haircut. I had about 3+ hours of free time today, and I made multiple sales in our program. So if there's nothing you can learn from me, I don't know how that's possible. But I have almost complete control over my time. I work on multi-million-dollar projects. I can live stream to an audience, and I get to play in VR. I get to help people change their lives. So I would say there's a thing or two you could probably learn from me. But again, that's neither here nor there. In wrapping up our video, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for joining us on this 4-day journey. I hope deeply that I've given you some food for thought to consider, that rather than trying to treat your trauma directly or your memory of a trauma, is to release and expose and pull out of your body the belief systems that are not serving you, and to start engaging in looking at reinterpretation and creating empowering beliefs for your life. This is the culmination of, in my world, years and years, actually now decades. I've been working in this field for decades in vagus nerve stimulation and coaching and all this kind of stuff. A decade, 12 years, 12 freaking years. And I'm only 34. So I started when I was about 22. Yeah, 22. So look at me now, right? Look at me in this case. I'm happy. I love what I do. And so I hope some of you watching can hop on the bandwagon and join, the 2 ladies who just signed up for the program just today. And some of these people have known me for 3 years, 2 years, and they're just now joining. So if it ends up taking you that long, I admire you and I respect you, and I completely acknowledge your own journey that you're on. But don't suffer 1 day longer than you need to. Don't let this be something that you again, don't handle in your life, because there's a lot more waiting for you than just dealing with your health. There's a lot more that comes from working in your vagus nerve. I mean, for instance, just in the last, I believe, 2 weeks, we've helped 2 of our female clients launch their own businesses, form LLCs, start actually making money. When 3 months ago, they were in bed feeling like garbage, like actual, literally, I think I'm going to die kind of health issues. And we've changed their lives radically. They tell me every day, they're like, you are a life changer, Sterling. You have changed my life. And they're not saying that just to blow smoke up my ass. I don't ask them to say any of this stuff. I don't say, please, guys, please shower me in gifts and everything like that. I'm not asking for compliments here. All I do is I show up for my clients. I show up for the work that I love to do. I develop incredible skill sets. I invest in my skill sets. You guys are not part of my goals. Signing you up for a program is not part of my goal. Signing you up for a program is based on if I truly believe that I can help you. So I hope this has been a good experience for you. It's been a good experience for me. But like I said, join us next week, Monday. We're going to be live tomorrow and Sunday, but Monday is going to mark the beginning of a new 5-part series on how to think like a practitioner with clients, and to see from my eyes what I look for, what I do, how I help people. And so you can learn from that and transfer that into your own work with your own, even if you're not a therapist or if you're not a practitioner, but ideally, if you are a practitioner, you're going to learn a lot. So I hope you're able to join us on that next week. And also I want to thank Charlene, who, Char is in our program. She writes, I agree. Phase 1 is a total life changer in a lot of aspects. And it's true. We do cover more than just a VNS device. If you're signing up for just a VNS device, that's a mistake. You don't need just another piece of tech, okay? Usually you need a little bit more than that. I know Charlene uses the Hour of Power audio very consistently. She uses this all the time. And again, link is in the chat. I'll put it on YouTube as well, just one last time, because I know I've mentioned this a couple times. Engaging the Hour of Power and phase 1 link in YouTube as well. And with that, we'll wrap it up for YouTube, for my lovely YouTube guys. Thank you so much. If you like this series, this 4-part series, like, comment, subscribe. Would appreciate that. That helps us with the algorithm. If you thought that this was helpful, that gets the algorithm to, show us to more people. So thanks so much on YouTube, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye. So